We got the Michael Moore audio from Wolf Blitzer.
I like to hear the Michael Moore audio.
You want to go there?
Let me hear that.
I think Michael Moore is calling in a little later this morning.
Yeah, 10:30.
10:30 today on the Opie
hear that
show. Okay, here he is on Wolf Blitzer.
Michael, thanks very much for coming in. You want to respond?
Well, first of all,
you want to respond to anything we just heard?
Yeah, I'd like about 10 minutes to respond to.
Give us a couple headlines. What you'd like to say?
I don't talk in sound bites, so that.
You know what? Because I know you're not a fan of Michael Moore, and that's fine.
No, I actually met Michael Moore, and we spoke.
We liked him.
And I like the guy as a guy.
Yeah.
As a guy, I like him, and I like how he handles the press a lot of times with that. I'm not going to speak in soundbite stuff.
He just said something so important there that has killed us personally. It's killed many people out there. CNN, Fox News Channel, all of them.
It's their big thing to say is,
they speak in sound bites, and
could you give us just one thing? You got 10 seconds to wrap up what you really need 10 minutes to say.
And that Paula Zahn.
She stinks.
She stinks. Because this is the same network, CNN.
Yeah.
And that's what they did to us. They spoke in sound bites and didn't get the whole story out there with what happened to us.
Yep.
You know, tough to defend. I understand, but trust me, if they had all the facts out there when we were going through our latest controversy,
defendable.
It would have been a lot different.
Yeah.
But they spoke in sound bites because that's the glamorous thing to do. You know, they know people don't want to pay
short
too much
attention
span and all that. So Michael Moore said something really important right there. That's why he said, I need 10 minutes, but I'm not going to speak in sound bites like you guys do.
I don't talk in sound bites, so that report was so biased. I can't imagine what pharmaceutical company ads coming up right after our break here. But, why don't you tell the truth to the American people? I mean, I wish that CNN and the other mainstream media would just for once tell the truth about what's going on in this country, whether it's with health care, I don't care what it is. I mean, you guys have such a poor track record, and for me to come on here and have to listen to that kind of crap, I mean, seriously.
See, I don't know what they played just before.
Yeah, what was before that?
That really pissed him off. Was it a negative review on his movie? Was it were they skewing the facts? What happened?
Do we know?
It was probably some kind of a little answer to one of his situations in his movie.
Yeah,
that was
I would assume it's something like, "Hey, you showed this in your movie, but we found this."
Steve, do we know what that is?
I have no idea what you're speaking of.
Does anyone know who cut this up? We need a little more info on this.
Yeah.
Anybody?
Sam did.
All right.
Sam.
Let's play the next clip. It goes on. This gets really good.
I haven't been on your show now for 3 years. The last time I was on, you ran a similar piece about Fahrenheit 9/11 saying, oh, this can't be true, what he's saying about the war, how it's going to be a quagmire, the weapons of mass destruction, and why don't you start off, actually, with my first appearance back here on your show in 3 years, and maybe apologize to me for saying that 3 years ago, because it turned out everything I said in Fahrenheit was true. Everything's come to happen. Everything I said. I mean, I took you in that film to Walter Reed Hospital. And it took 3 years before you or any of the rest of the mainstream media would go to Walter Reed Hospital and see what was happening to our troops.
And they don't take any, CNN and the rest of them, they don't take any responsibility. They did a really good job trying to destroy our careers, and then they just move on to the next thing. Then the next story, the next fluff piece.
He's making some good points here.
He's murdering.
He really is making some good points.
Stupid Wolf Blitzer in a situation room. Oh, boy, do we have a situation, don't we, Wolf?
Yes.
You're in the middle of a situation you can't handle.
Wolf. That's probably his screen name.
What?
Wolf, older gentleman.
Why don't you sit down, Wolf?
Sam, what got before that?
Well, basically, before he came on, they aired a little video package about the movie and said what it was about.
Yeah.
And then they said some of his numbers were inaccurate, and they posted what their findings were. And it was just it was one or two facts that he had said that they said were off. And they said, at the end of it, that they said positive things about the movie, but they said that some of his facts were fudged.
Can we have the facts that were supposedly fudged because we got him at 10:30, so you can ask him for his response on that.
Michael Moore continues.
You're the ones who are fudging the facts. You fudged the facts to the American people now for I don't know how long about this issue, about the war, and I'm just curious, when are you going to just stand there and apologize to the American people for not bringing the truth to them that isn't sponsored by some major corporation? I mean, I'll sit here for as long as it takes if you can do that for me.
Wow.
That's a good point also, because we brought up the fact that the news is a sponsored show. And until they're not a sponsored show, you're going to get some type of bias, conflicts of interest, and such. And that's kind of the point he's bringing up, where, you know, a pharmaceutical ad comes on. There's one on right now as I look at the news that we're watching on TV. There's a pharmaceutical ad on. And from what Michael Moore is saying, you know, these pharmaceuticals are making huge amounts of money, charging huge amounts of money for the medicine, which really doesn't cost that much. And that's where the crime is. Mm-hmm. I don't think we would need socialized medicine if people would just be able to get the insurance companies and the pharmaceutical companies in line. Because that's where the big problem is. The insurance companies, if they're having to pay thousands of dollars for prescriptions, they're going to jack their prices up and not accept certain people and whatnot.
And then everybody blames the lawyers. Well, it's because the lawyers sue. And it's like a giant... It's a cyclical thing that nobody will actually ever be blamed for totally, because it's a group effort. But that implies that if the lawyers weren't suing, the doctors in the medical industry and the insurance companies, out of the goodness of their hearts, would provide. And they're scum, and they're money-based, and they wouldn't. The doctors aren't scum, but the insurance companies are. And they would not provide. Regardless of being sued, they would always try to squeeze you, regardless of what's good for you, to make more money. It's the reality.
Yeah, it is a cyclical thing. It's, you know, the doctors, lawyers, insurance companies, each one can pin the blame on the other, so nobody really has to take the blame. And do you know pharmaceutical companies do all kinds of favors and for doctors? Like these pharmaceutical salespeople visit doctors and sign them up. And in order to do that, they do certain favors for them. And I'm not saying there's money bounce back and forth, but perhaps that's it going on, trips, things like that, so that when you go into the doctor's office and you say you have a certain problem, he's more apt to prescribe you the medicine that got him the best favor. That shouldn't be happening. Things like that, you know. You're not getting the best care. You're getting the best care the doctor wants to give you, also in his best interest.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Sicko.
It's really good, dude. I watched it.
I'm kind of bummed I didn't get to see it before we talked to Michael Moore. But
and I've again historically I've at times I like Michael Moore's filmmaking, even though I know at times I would love to. I'm going to ask him about Roger Me when he calls in too, because there was rumors that a lot of that was fudged. But I really like this a lot.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Let's play another clip here. I think Wolf finally tries to defend himself.
In fairness, we had a lot of commercials for Sicko that we've been running on CNN as well. So you know, we have commercials. This is a business, obviously. But let's talk a little bit about one of the.
You have a nightly medical report. You have something called the Daily Dose. I watch CNN. You have it every day. The Daily Dose, sponsored by fill in the blank, and you are funded by these people day in and day out. Don't even compare that to my movie being out for a couple of weeks.
I would say that
ads for 15 seconds.
I don't know if you're familiar with
I don't know if you're
Wolf. I love it.
Oh, he's spanking him pretty bad.
The stupid Wolf thinks he's too cool for everybody else, too cool for the room, you know.
Wolf is a nerd.
He really is a nerd.
Blitzer.
His dumb situation room.
Stinks.
Oh, we got a situation.
Do we?
And then you tune in and he's talking about the 3 H's because it's really hot on the East Coast. Wow, that's a situation, all right. Something that's been happening since the beginning of time.
That's on the upper right-hand monitor.
Yeah.
What's in the middle one? Situations.
Yeah, lots and lots of situations.
I saw Dr. Sanjay Gupta over there embedded with the troops at the beginning of the war. He and the others of you in the mainstream media refuse to ask our leaders the hard questions and demand the honest answers. And that's why we're in this war. We're in the 5th year of this war because you and CNN, Dr. Gupta, you didn't do your jobs back then. And now here we are in this mess. What if you'd actually done the job on that? That's why anybody who hears anything of what you say now about universal health care should question what you're saying, what you're putting out there. You didn't do the job for us with the war. You're not doing it with this issue. And I just wonder when the American people are going to turn off their TV sets and quit listening to this stuff.
Ain't going to happen.
One thing that's interesting to me, and again, I'd love to ask Michael Moore this. Wolf Blitzer could obviously jump in and respond.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, and again, I could be completely naive, does he on some base level agree, and yet he has to toe the company line?
Well, that's a really good observation,
I think most reporters are more liberal than they are conservative. I think more guys who are reporters,
especially over at CNN,
are more likely to agree with him than disagree with him, and maybe on some very base level, Wolf agrees with him. I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe Wolf tore into him afterwards.
You know, perhaps they have hung out again when we were sitting chatting with Michael Moore one evening. You know, I got along with him fine, and believe me, we're pretty far apart on our ideology, but we're pretty close together on just being guys. You know, the guy isn't a bad guy to kind of just talk to. But his ideology, me and him are pretty far apart.
But he said something cool to us because he knew about us. We went to that Beatles thing. That was a waste of time back in the day, about 4 or 5 years ago. And we were fired at that time. We weren't on the radio. And he's like, you guys got to get back because radio and media in general will always need the Sex Pistols. And he thought we were like kind of like the Sex Pistols, just effing things up constantly to make it interesting. And I thought that was kind of cool coming from him.
Yeah, he likes.
I never forgot that.
The monkey wrench being thrown into the works.
Yeah.
You know?
All right, we got to wrap up on this side of the